Friends, this is Dave from Southgate Imaging. So today what I want to do is I want to go over our budget for our Transatlantic we took last spring. Basically New York to Marseille, France, 15-day cruise. I want to walk through our budget, and then I want to continue shopping for a similar cruise this fall. I'll go through CruisePlum. I suspect we'll be on an MSC cruise anyway, just because of the way the pricing is. But I want to take a look at that. So you want to watch this video if you want to understand how to book these transatlantics, save some money, and really dig into your costs and understand what you can possibly do. We like to travel probably 3 trips a year, and we'd prefer to book 3 inexpensive trips and 1 go all-out trip. That's just the way we travel. Your traveling might be different, but you'll still want to know how to use these tools. These are great tools. So the tools basically I'm talking about, you're going to be using CruisePlum to look at cruise prices kind of globally. I'm going to use the MSC site because I'm going to go there a lot, and we're going to use Google Flights a lot. So that's the tool. So let's start walking through this. Here's the budget we had for our last cruise. We basically left New York City, Halifax to the Azores, through Portugal, Spain, and disembarked in Marseille, France. Took a high-speed train from Marseille, France to Paris and flew home direct to Halifax. The interesting thing in the Halifax region right now is it's fantastic for these flights to Europe. They're somewhat seasonal, so it is challenging getting the prices of the flights to match. Really, the big challenge with a transatlantic cruise is really getting the right deal on the cruise and the right deal on the flight. So you can get a fantastic deal on the cruise, but if the flights are really out of your budget, it's not going to make sense. So that's why we're going to kind of use these tools together. So here's the budget we had for our last cruise, so you'll get a feel for what kind of price range I'm shopping in. So basically it was a 15-night cruise on MSC, inside cabin guarantee, Canadian dollars, taxes and fees. It was a $9.11 each, which was a spectacular price. We were really happy with that. So a total of $18.22 for cruise fares. We flew Halifax to Newark. And we used some credits, but anyway, basically it was around $500 for flights. We stayed at the Wa Hotel. We used some credits, but basically it was $170 a night for that. The meals in New Jersey, local transportation to the cruise port. We took the subway and ferries in from New Jersey. We had some miscellaneous meals, some SIM cards, tips. We had, let's see, Marseille train station, meals there. We had the high-speed train from Marseille to Charles de Gaulle Airport. That was $100 Canadian. We stayed at the Charles de Gaulle Residence Inn. We used points for that. So basically it was just some meals out of pocket. And the big expenses here was basically a train into Paris for the day was $100 Canadian, not cheap. And we had WestJet flights back to Halifax, $17 return. So for basically 2 people, we spent $4,000. The thing I didn't include here was the tips on MSC because it's kind of a given. You just pay those. We don't pay those up front. We pay them on the ship. So that's basically where that is at. I like to kind of keep track of the cost 2 ways. One is the cost here, which is in dollars spent, real dollars spent, and one is the total if you put in the value of trip credits and things like that, the Expedia points, Marriott points, and things like that. My view is you travel enough, every trip you're going to be using some of these up, and the number I'm mostly looking for is the out-of-pocket number. That's what I like. So basically the trip was $3,200 plus the tips, the gratuities on MSC. So that was that was basically the cost of flight, the cost of the whole trip. So what I'm hoping to do is do another transatlantic somewhere around the same budget. And this was really this was a 20-day trip to Europe from Halifax, all flights and everything included, for $4,000 for 2 people. That's just incredible pricing. So looking forward, what do I want to do? Well, I want to go and go to CruisePlum and say, well, where am I going to find a cruise? And what I'm going to do is to basically a general cruise search. I've explained CruisePlum before, but let's just go through it. I want to get what I like to do is actually all cabin show to one line. I don't need a very long display. Generally, we're going to book inside guarantee. That's just the way it's going to be. So CruisePlum downloads your data like this. So what we want to do, we want to travel. This will be in 2026. It's going to be October or November or possibly December. It's going to be a transatlantic. So let's go down. Cruise to land, days week, price per cabin. Region, this is where basically you'll select your transatlantic cruise. And then, not sure about embark ports, debark ports. What I'm interested in at this point is the price. So I'm looking for something that's going to be less than $200 per day on a transatlantic. I think our last cruise, we were down to $120 a day. That's the ideal, but we'll see what we can do. Cost per day. Price per day here. And it basically, I'll be looking at 150 to 250. And typically this is going to bring in a lot of MSCs. So MSC Meraviglia, it's going to be an inside cabin. It's going to be $5,500 for 2 people. That includes tax and tips. So $232 a night. We looked at these. These are actually attractive to us. We like the Meraviglia, and the 22 night one was particularly attractive. You basically do a bit of Spain and Portugal, the Canary Islands, transatlantic over, and you come down the eastern seaboard. So you come down New York, Boston and New York, and back into Miami. The Grandiosa was also interesting. Same thing, 20 nights. So these are cruises that we're kind of following, not day to day, but week to week. We're just looking for them to go on sale and what have you. So again, it's all various itineraries for the Meraviglia and the Grandiosa at this price range. There's a cruise, an MSC Opera, goes from Rome to Dominican Republic or Romania, which is... we haven't actually done this type of itinerary, but the prices are good. Actually, an Ocean View cabin, $203 a night. That's really attractive. Again, the Grandiosa Opera. The challenge in Halifax is that the flights are seasonal, and so some of the flights, like Barcelona, end sort of early in October. And some of them go a little later. I think Paris and the UK go a little later. And so that's the challenge with booking these cruises. So the Grandiosa, the Opera. Let's look at the Opera again. Rome to Romania. These are pretty good values too. The expense here is going to be getting back from the Dominican. Rome is not going to be cheap. There's no direct flights there from Halifax. Barcelona usually works better, but this is an older ship, the Opera, but it's kind of interesting. Grandiosa, Dvinia. Yeah, what they don't have here, I don't think. I don't know, Opera, Sky Princess. This is interesting because you don't see a lot of these. So the Sky Princess, London actually can work pretty good for us because the flights go to the UK kind of year round. So the Sky Princess is a nice ship, and this is like saying an interesting one. So it's November 5th, 15 nights, London to Orlando. So that's interesting. It's $246 a night. Not bad. That's one we'll probably investigate. The World Europea is a great ship, a great MSC ship. This is going to Rome, Martinique. I actually know a guy that was on the Maravella with us in the spring. He's going to be on this ship. That would be interesting. Again, Marseille, Guadeloupe. The Europea is interesting. It's going to take you to the Caribbean, and you got to fly back from the Caribbean. But in November, you don't mind being in the Caribbean. World Europea. So these are all pretty interesting, and it's interesting to see the ones that would come up that you don't expect. So there's a Holland America cruise that's basically Rotterdam to Fort Lauderdale. And that's not bad. That's priced pretty good on Holland America, which would be a nice experience for us. So what I do basically is at this point try to look at you're trying to connect your cruise fare. So you're trying to find good deals on the cruise that is going to be reasonable for you to get to, and that takes a certain amount of time. So when I'm doing this, I'm always going to have a Google Flights window open to kind of understand what's happening with the flights. And I'm going to have MSC up. So this is a very common search for me on MSC. Sometimes the best deals come up on the MSC site before CruisePlum will get them. I've noticed that. Don't know why, but that's what I found. So occasionally I'll come in here, probably once a week, and we'll look here. So basically what we're looking for is Grand Voyages, because we're looking for Transatlantic. The dates are going to be September to November for MSC. And then basically I'm just going to filter by price, low to high. And so the Grandiosa, this is a cruise that comes up frequently, and basically it's going to be Barcelona to Miami. The downside with this cruise, the Grandiosa is not a bad ship. The downside with this cruise is all the sea days. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sea days. Then you're doing Puerto Rico, 2 sea days in Miami. So it's not an adventure port-filled cruise. So it's not bad. It's priced really well. When you're getting down to $720, that's pretty good. It's a little challenging for us. Let's just look right now what it's going to cost for Barcelona. So you'd want to you'd fly to Barcelona on the 28th of October. So basically go to Google Flights, not round trip, one way, Halifax to Barcelona. And it's going to be October. And so on the 28th, we're looking at about $650. I know that there's direct WestJet flights around there from Halifax. Let's see if this just happens to be a direct flight. Yeah, it looks like the direct flights are over by this time. See if I can see when the direct flights maybe end here. Let's try here. So here we have a direct flight on WestJet. So it's a red eye, leaves at 10:35 p.m. from Halifax to Barcelona, 4:10 a night. The date isn't perfect, but the ideal situation is to find a cruise that's going to work with this date, something around October 5th, and that would be ideal. So what I'm trying to do is connect the dots. So this is the thing. So with your cruise searches, you want to connect the inexpensive cruise fares with inexpensive flights, and that can be hard to do. On our cruise in the spring, it wasn't too bad at all. The flights were reasonable when we had a low fare, and I think we booked that 1.5 to 2 months prior to the cruise. And the prices, basically what they seem to do is, at this point, they're probably as high as they're going to be. And this is June right now. And as you get closer to the cruise, which I would say would be August, September, those prices will come down again. And as long as your airfares are great, you got the deal. So you have to have the flexibility to be able to book quickly. And you really, really got to be doing your research. That's the key. You got to be consistent about doing your research, knowing when it's a deal and pulling the trigger. The disadvantage of the last minute bookings is you can't cancel. So basically it's past the 90-day ticker. When you book, you pay full price. So you got to keep that in mind. That's just the way it is. But it worked out for us in the spring. And if there's no other great deals coming up through the summer, there can be great deals in the fall. And the more knowledge is power, and the more research you do, the better off you are. Anyway, I hope this helps. It's not a sexy process, but it's an interesting process because you learn more about the transatlantic products, and it may not be the cruise you take this fall, but it might be the cruise you take next fall or next spring. It's just the way it is. So, my advice is to understand the transportation from the port you're going to be. In our case, in Halifax, we're going to be probably coming and going from either Paris or Barcelona for these cruises, and we're probably going to be on the North American side. Most likely, it's going to be Miami or Orlando. Fortunately for us, they're relatively inexpensive one-way flights. So the big nut is the flight to Europe. It's going to be one way. So that's it. That's the process. We'll be on another cruise shortly, so we'll see what I get booked. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, remember to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, let me have them in the comments. I love to share my knowledge about this. I really, really, really enjoy doing this kind of stuff. Again, have a great day, and thanks for watching.